Greetings, team. Welcome to Monday Morning Pearls, brought to you by Span the Chasm. My name is Randy Remersma. Before we get into the Pearl, I want to encourage you to go out and listen to our podcast, Uncommon Sales Success. It's a compilation of interviews with sales leaders across the space, some great learnings in here. Why does it matter to you? Because there's very practical and immediately actionable advice that's going to come out of these things. Learnings from mistakes, best practices we're seeing playing out in the field, stuff that's going to help you be more successful immediately. Where do you go get them? Go to spanthechasm.com/podcast. All the information you need is there. It'll point you to all the different platforms that you might like. So with that, on to this week's Monday Morning Pearl.
All right, so what is a scalable framework that your reps can use on every single call? Well, a framework for a call would look like this. There's 6, and that's 6 specific steps that we want to make sure we have. And they go like this: small talk, the front bookend, the agenda, the middle demonstration of the call or questions, we bookend the back end, and then we prescribe the next step. So let's talk for a second about those particular pieces. First, small talk, keep it to a minimum. If you get on a call and you're listening and your reps are talking for 5 minutes before they jump in, there is somebody on that call who's saying, just get to it already. Teach them to keep it to a minimum. All players are on the call. Let's stop it and move into the front bookend. All right, so step 2 is the front bookend. Think about it when we talk about bookends, because we're really talking there's one in the front, there's one in the back, and there's a bunch of stuff in the middle. So the front bookend is a chance to let people know that you actually heard what they were talking about in your last call, that it's important to you to understand what's going on in their world, and that you're stating the reason that they've agreed that it's important for them to be on this call. Because that's a way to set the value tone. I would tell you in the front bookend, though, one of the things you really, really want to make sure that you do is the following. Hey, we're here for these reasons, and then I want to ask a question that helps me establish where I sit in the deal or gets me new information. So there's a couple different tactics to do this, right? One of them could be, hey, has anything changed? Great. Well, we'll get a yes or no on that 100% of the time. A pretty good majority of the time, the client or the prospect will say, no, nothing's really changed. So then the question becomes, what's the follow-up question that you'll back on the back of that? Use a good open-ended question in order to gain information about where they are in the thought process, the priority, the budgeting, something that allows you to gain more information to understand where you sit in the deal. So don't think of the front end bookend as just a place where we kind of lay down and just go, hey, here's why we're here. Understand that it's a place to confirm and verify that the information you have is accurate. It is what they're trying to accomplish. And then ask an additional great open-ended question that allows you to understand where you sit in the deal. So when we start to talk further, let's talk about the next component, which is the agenda. I'm telling you right now that if you'll set an appropriate agenda, the calls that your reps will have and the outcomes that you'll get and the number of prospects who are willing to engage with you for an extended period will increase substantially. Because the agenda should set the tone for the call, but it should be more specific. It shouldn't be, hey, based upon this, let's go ahead and do a software demonstration. It may look like this in a discovery call. Hey, I'm glad you could join us. If you don't mind, I'd like to propose an agenda. Nobody says no. And if they do, it's information about where you stand in the call. Then what you want to do once you've proposed the agenda and they say yes, is you say, well, great. What I'd love to do is learn more about you, your problems, what's going on in your world. I'll sprinkle in some things about our company as appropriate. And then at the end of this call, you and I can decide together whether or not there's a reason to continue. That agenda did a couple things. It set the tone that they're going to carry the conversation. I'm only going to put in the information that's relevant to them instead of throwing up stuff on their shoes with all the random things I could talk about. And then it also told them, hey, we're going to decide at the end of this call together whether or not a next step takes place. Let them know you understand they have the power, but you want to be involved in the decision. Fourth piece is the middle. That's where the stuff will happen, the discovery questions, the value demonstration, the closing call, the clarification, the technical things. This is the piece that your sales force will customize based upon your particular offering. From there, we'll back end it, we'll bookend. Hey, what do we hear today? Because today you should have heard something in addition to the things you already know, right? You should have been asking questions that continued to build and identify the business problems that they're trying to solve. So we'll say, hey, this is what we heard today. Based on what we heard today, we believe that this should be the logical next step, right? We will bookend, and then we'll do the final thing, which is prescribe the next step. But same thing here. Use an intelligent question. Hey, based upon what I've heard, you're trying to solve these types of problems, which seem like they should be a pretty significant priority for you because they have been for many of our clients. But my opinion doesn't matter. Tell me, where do these rank on your priority list in order of things you need to solve? Let's make sure that we're finding out where we sit in a deal, and let's be explicit about it. But those are the 6 components to a scalable framework for any call. Small talk, front bookend, agenda, your middle stuff, right? Back bookend, and the prescription of the next step. Follow this framework, and I promise the way your calls will turn out in your sales force, they'll have more opportunities in the pipeline, which are more highly qualified, which actually go further in the pipeline and give them a better chance to close more deals. Set this framework in place, and your reps will absolutely have a chance to win.